A warm welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel. Do not forget to subscribe. Today's video we're going to be doing LSP, a last stage protection product comparison between two paste waxes and two spray sealants. Our first paste wax is Bilt Hamber double speed. Our second paste wax is Autoglym ultra high definition wax. Our first spray sealant is Collinite Beadcoat ceramic sealant. It's like a graphene and SiO2 infused sealant. And our fourth one is the Turtle Wax Ice Seal and Shine spray sealant. You sometimes are referred to as spray waxes. That is a cocktail that I do believe contains some wax, emulsified wax in it, and some other SiO2 components. This, I'm not sure if it contains emulsified wax, but it has SiO2 and graphene in it. Does it really matter? These two products are obviously solvent-based, heavier products with dissolved organic waxes in them, if you like. So they're solvent carried, you spread them over the panel, the solvent vapes off, and that causes the material that's left behind to become harder as the solvent's released from it. And then you wipe it and you leave a thin layer of wax on the surface, which then provides a barrier which protects your surface and shines up the paint. These are water-based and they typically rely or they're backboned with a more complicated material called siloxane, or a family of material called siloxane, cationic siloxane, which when you can mix it with other material, but you still essentially form a film of the products and the water does vaporize out of it, but the cationic materials tend to bond to the surface of the paintwork, sometimes called amino functional silicons, stuff like that, but typically cationic siloxanes. So that's enough about the technology. Let's talk about the price, and we're going to compare these on price, gloss, ease of application, beading and durability. Winner gets 4 marks, loser gets 1 in each category, and we'll add them all up. So let's just start with our price comparison, which is a little bit tricky to do actually, because we're doing wax versus water-based stuff. So tell me if you think I've got this right or wrong, because it's open to interpretation. Bilt Hamber double speed wax costs $16.95 for 200 ml. So they measure it by millilitres. Now, if you're not familiar with waxes, that's a very affordable paste wax. Okay, you can get cheaper, like Turtle Wax have some really, like their hard shell waxes and stuff like that, which could go really cheap. But essentially for a carnauba-based solvent carried wax, that is almost as cheap as it gets. So really good price. If we go up to the Autoglym ultra high definition wax, that costs on Halfords, it's more expensive on the Autoglym site. I tend to use the Halford site because Autoglym don't undercut their sellers, so you always tend to be better off buying from Autoglym or other resellers, whoever's doing the deal. But this was on sale, or sorry, this was for sale, not on sale, for £56.34, but for 120 grams, which is slightly different. Now, from making waxes, I always like to get that in there. It's hard to convert millilitres to grams. 1 gram of water is 1 milliliter of water. 1 gram to 1 milliliter. Because it's a solvent and wax, it's denser, so it might not be exactly the same. So we've got to work on a slight assumption, really, haven't we, that the 120 grams is less than the 250 mil. Is it half? I'm not 100% sure, but either way, it doesn't really matter. If it was half, we could effectively double the price and we'd get 240 grams. So typically, as a rough comparison, the Autoglym product might come out at around £100 for the same equivalent weight of the Bilt Hamber product, with the caveat that however that converts, it may be less. But essentially, that is the most expensive product here. Either way, no matter how you do the conversion, the Autoglym product is going to always get the 1 point. So that's the important thing. Now, before we can work out how cheap the Bilt Hamber is, we need to compare it to these two. Now, the Collinite Beadcoat, its weakness is the price. As far as I know, you can't get like a US gallon of it or 5 litres of it in the UK. So the best price really that I could find was $23.95 from Into Detailing for 473 mil. So that isn't cheap, is it? Now, the Seal and Shine, on the other hand, is £10 for 500 ml. So it's considerably cheaper. But you can also buy it on Amazon for £22 for 5 litres, or £30 on the Turtle Wax site. So however you want to do that, the Turtle Wax product here is the cheapest, isn't it? Now the next thing is, which of these two would be cheaper? Well, for me, I feel that 250 grams of wax, or millilitres of wax, for 17 quid is cheaper than a spray sealant, a water-based spray sealant, at £24.95. But that could be inaccurate, because you'd almost have to measure out how much you're using per application. So I don't know about that. This is why we talk about all this stuff. But for me, I'm going to put that. That's going to get 2 points, and that's going to get 3, because it's cheaper in my head. Let me know if you agree or disagree. So we've got to move on. We'll be here forever. So let's move on to gloss testing. Now, with this panel here, we've cut it back again with the Rupes Advanced, and it gives us this swirly, hazy panel with 83.3 gloss units and 14.7 haze here on an average 3 readings. And then you can see the average 3 readings here with the Autoglym, and the average 3 readings here with the Collinite Beadcoat, and the average 3 readings here with the Turtle Wax Seal and Shine of gloss and haze, measured with our Gonio photometer, which is a device which measures gloss and haze. So there's a bit of variance, but pretty reasonably good data. That has slightly higher haze, and so does that, and that's a slightly lower haze. The higher the haze, the more ability you might have for a product. It might give a product a slight advantage. Likewise, the lower the gloss, the pre-reading gloss, it might give a product an advantage. So if this read as like 90 and this read as 80, it would give this an advantage, because we're measuring gloss increment. So it's important to take the pre-readings and make sure they're roughly kind of consistent. And if they're not, repolish the panel again. And it's important to talk about this. We cut the panel, which gives us a low gloss. If we cut and finished, we could get this haze reading down between 0 and 2 if we really went to town on it. And we could get this up to 90 to 95. The problem is then, these products their ability to add gloss is compromised. So the lower the gloss, the more you can measure them. So cutting it with wool seems to be a good way of being able to test products from my experience. And ironically, it was the tests we did 10 years ago in the Autoglym labs with gloss meters that is the foundation almost for this method. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? Or not really, but I thought that was interesting to me. Right, let's crack on now. And while we're going to apply these, so let's turn this off. So the main difference, if you are new to detailing with paste waxes, I'm just going to get a good shot here, and spray sealants, is that the paste wax is slower to apply, in my opinion. So you take the tin off, you obviously wash the car, you could panel wipe the car down, you could clay the car if it's got contamination on it, you could polish the car if the paint's finish is dull and hazy and scratchy. Then at that point, when you've got good decontaminated paintwork, you then protect it. So you'll typically go in and you'll load up your applicator with a little bit of wax like this. That's plenty for the bit we're doing. And obviously you're going to go over the entire car. Let's make sure that's double speed. Yeah, it is. And you're going to do this. And this is kind of the easy bit. Okay, and you can't, yeah, we just need to make sure our edges are always going to be a bit of pain with this tape line. So what we've done there is, you can just see we've got this greasy film of wax, which is going to harden off. Okay, and that's fine. That's all we need to do. Now, the disadvantage with this paste wax is you need to wait 5 to 10 minutes for the solvent to vape out of this and for it to harden. And with a hard wax like this is a hard, dry curing wax, as opposed to a oily, softer wax which never fully goes to a dry cure, more of a show wax. This is a durability performance wax, if you like. Same with the Autoglym. Any wax that fully cures out, I tend to think of as a performance wax rather than just an out-and-out show wax. And both these companies, Bilt Hamber and Autoglym, have mastered the art of the dry cure. And a lot of kind of smaller wax makers, including myself, haven't mastered the art of that. And the oils that are in the product will inhibit a full cure and reduce durability, because oil is something which detergents break down quite easily. Now you can dampen off these applications. You can see I've got, all I need to do is get the wax all over it. You can dampen off these applicators when you're applying them over the car, and that makes the wax release from the foam applicator a little bit easier. And you tend to load up less when you use a bit of wax. So a bit of water in the applicator can be a good idea, but when we're just testing this, we don't need to introduce water. Now, the disadvantage of these waxes is with the Bilt Hamber wax, and I know these products are products that I keep, you know. The Bilt Hamber product goes rock hard, and if you buff it or you put too much on, you'll buff it, and on the little raised edges of cars, like swage lines and things like that, you can potentially get a little line of wax that doesn't easily wipe off, and you have to go back over it with a bit more pressure and a bit of detail spray or whatever to get that final finish sometimes. Obviously, you can mitigate that by using less and applying it really good, but to the layman's, that's the main risk of using a paste wax, is leaving little bits of wax on the car, missing bits when you buff, so you put it all over the panel and you just don't quite buff right up into that edge. You get a little line of wax that you might miss. And also, when your cloth starts building up wax, you're buffing it, you can leave bits of wax, and sometimes in the sunshine it can go a bit greasy and you can see kind of lines of wax. Again, that's down to the application. Perhaps when you've done a buff, go back and get a soft, clean cloth, like a shaggy cloth, you know, and go back over the car and buff again to avoid that. But that can be some of the things that have gone wrong for me when I use waxes. Also with waxes, especially waxes with high carnauba, in a humid garage in the summer, I find, you can get the moisture in the air sticks to the carnauba paste wax, and you can get these ghosty patches like a day later after you've applied them, and you have to go back over or take the car out the garage and just let it sort of like dry out, if you like, almost the moisture go away, or you have to buff it again, you know, the clean cloth. So that can be annoying, and that's a problem with carnauba based paste waxes, and it can be a problem with the double speed. I have encountered that. So some people, I think, prefer spray wax type products. Now, we need to leave these on for 10 minutes, so let's go on to the next. They've been on for about 3, so let's just apply these other 2 products here. I'm going to use microfiber. It's nice, someone's just fired up their lawnmower. Wouldn't be a video if there wasn't someone making some noise. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to see, I've just primed this with a little bit of that, just so it's primed. I'm just going to put 1 squirt on here, which is a lot, or even half a squirt, doesn't really matter. I just don't want to cross-contaminate. So, hold on, there we go. It was farting, it wasn't coming out. So I'm going to spread this film. So we know we're going to have plenty of product with all of these. So the film of product we're putting over is going to be nice and thick. Now with this product, you just spread it, and I believe you just buff it instantly. Let's have a look. So there's no curing, yeah. So you spread it over a panel, you take a clean microfiber cloth, and you just buff this off. The claim to fame for me with the bead coat is just, one of the reasons I like it is on a black car, it's so easy to apply. If you spray it onto an applicator, a block applicator, microfiber, go over that entire panel, then buff it, you're fine. But if you do miss any bits or you don't get into the corner, it just vapes out and disappears into the panel, and you'd never know that you've missed a bit. It would give you the perfect final finish. So this is one of the reasons I really like the bead coat. It's just idiot proof. The icing on the cake is it beads like crazy as well, which is quite nice in the winter, or if you like jelly beans, or you're washing your car and you like to see it all fly off. So ease of application, definitely. Hydrophobicity, very good. Downside with bead coat is this price tag for me. Okay, so that's that bead coat applied. Let's just make sure we put this there so we don't use that again. We'll bring this one, another clean cloth over with us, and we'll just keep these in order. We'll get a clean one of these, give this a shake, make sure we're good. We'll go into here, we'll do one on the panel. There we go, we'll just spread it. Now, yeah, this, you see, it just resists the panel a little bit more, this, but we have formed our film. Just got a sort of smell. I can smell the carnauba in it, actually, which is funny. And I think it's the same sort of thing with this. You spread it, yet you use a separate microfiber cloth to buff it. And they do say on this turtle wax, don't use too much because it's a highly active formula. I would definitely say that's probably true. It's a deceptively strong product for turtle wax. You might think turtle wax is like the Mickey Mouse brand with the like green bottles and stuff, and it's all incredibly affordable. But I think with these hybrid solution products, they've gone the other way. They know how we test products, so they make them really high in active ingredients and like strong, so they last on the panel. And I think Seal and Shine, in simple layman's terms, is one of the best value spray sealants you're ever going to find in terms of, you know, 22 quid for 5,000 ml. What's the cost for a 500 ml bottle if you break that down? Well, 2.5 litres would be 11 quid, wouldn't it? Therefore, 1.25 litres would be £5.50. So you halve that again. You're getting close to 500 ml for 5.50. So you're talking like a 250 ml bottle would be around what, £2 to £3. That's how much it really costs you when you buy that bulk. And the bulk is cheaper at the moment with that deal. The bulk is cheaper than 500 ml of that. That's a hard sell, isn't it? At that price difference. Yeah, so if they can afford to sell it for that sort of price, why can't other people? Well, they're a big brand. That might be the answer. Anyway, we've been over 5 minutes with this now, and if I just get our light on it, so we're still waiting for our dry cure. So we need up to another 5 minutes. So there's no point in me keeping you on the line. So I'm going to pause the video here and we'll come back. Once we buff this, we'll have a look at it under the light, see which ones have improved to our eyeballs, because the waxes, I suspect, will fill better, fill the fine haze and swirls better than these two products, although possibly not, just depends, but I think they will. Ultimately, we'll leave it down to the gloss meter because that measures haze. So the filling effect will reduce haze. So we'll let the gloss meter decide, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. See you in a second. Doug. Okay, so we're back. It's time to buff. It looks dry to me, but it's been 10 minutes, so away we go. Now let's just take a clean cloth, just put that into a little pad like that, and then just buff this. So this is, I can feel straight away, it needs a good buff, this double speed. But nothing too, on a test panel it's fine, but on a car you'll notice it. And if I get the light, probably around where the tape's raised, no, it's been okay, it's okay. Some down there, I don't know. The edges probably not been polished too well. So there's our panel basically. So now let's put that to one side. Take this and do the Autoglym one. The Autoglym, similar sort of buff, maybe a little bit lighter, hard to say. Just make sure we get that edge around there. Yeah, good improvement actually on these with the waxes. Good improvement from the Autoglym actually. That's going to show, I would imagine, on the gloss meter. Yeah, it looks less hazy to me. I don't know, we'll see. And look at that. So the wax, much better filling effect. and the turtle wax. Yeah, so these two spray waxes, I think the log haze won't be as improved. To me, it's going to look like the Autoglym might have the best gloss data. So let's go, well, let's go and fire this thing up. So here we have the old trusty faithful. I think the old trusty faithful is probably due a little, let's calibrate it, probably just due a little service, if there's such a thing. The silver hornet needs servicing now. Okay, let's clear all the data out of this machine. Right, there we go. Now let's just hope, let's just do a test, measure our test panel. We should get 106.7 or something like that. Yeah, bang on. Okay, so let's just clear the data out. That test panel is calibrated. The gloss on the test panel is calibrated to 106.7. Can you see that there? So we've just calibrated to that, and that's what we're reading. So we should be good. And what we're going to do is take 3 gloss readings, and we'll take the average gloss and haze. Interesting. Wow, that's a really high haze reading there. We'll just, whatever it is what it is. The gloss meter never lies. So it may require more testing, but it never lies. It's just going to shine light and tell you the data. So now we're going to write down at the bottom, our average 20-degree gloss is 84.3. And then our average haze has gone up to 17.1. That is unusual. So it hasn't helped so much with the filling. Right, so now what we're going to do is clear this gloss meter down. Keep that pen away from this test panel, because that pen can have a habit of leaking. So if we got that data down, 17.1, 84.3, 83.3 before, and 14.7. So clear memory. Okay, measuring. I think this is going to have the best data. Well, yeah, this hasn't reduced the log haze so much, but it's only one reading. Let's keep going. Yeah, that's better. That's a clear reduction. It looks like, to my eyes, that it's cleared the log haze. Yeah, that's better. So this data is good. So let's go to the mean data. Stat 86.2. And sorry, 11.7. That's a reduction in haze as well. So that's produced better appearance data. I mean, it is a limited 3-shot test, but that gloss increment is significant for me. But it's also significant just showing it to you under the light as well, because you could tell under the light, couldn't you, that this was going to yield better data. Now we know. I think I'm interested. I don't think these spray products are going to, they don't look like they've filled as well to me. So let's just have a look at this. So we're on the Collinite Beadcoat now. 3, yeah, see that haze data, it's not improved. It's only one reading. Let's just give it a chance. That's not improved. That is improved gloss though. That's a good reading. That's a good improvement on that last reading, but we're going by the average. So we have got variance. So let's get our stats up. So we've got a good gloss increment actually on that. A very good gloss increment. In fact, on par with the Autoglym, gloss equals 86.5. 86.5. And haze increment 14.8. The haze has gone up. So it hasn't really gone up. What it means is it hasn't improved. It hasn't improved, and there's obviously variance in the reading because there's no reason why adding a water-based spray sealant would increase haze. What it hasn't done is it hasn't improved it, so the filling ability of this Beadcoat sealant is non-existent. But the filling ability of the double speed wax in this test was non-existent by inference of the fact that the haze has not gone down. Okay, the Autoglym so far has the best data. So let's delete all this. And I don't think we're going to see a massive improvement on the turtle wax. I don't think we're going to see a haze improvement. No. Oh, that's a drop in gloss. That's interesting. That's a drop of like 4 units. That would be really weird if they were all consistently lower. That is consistent. That's weird. So this is a consistent drop in gloss. Yeah, that's a consistent drop. So let's have a look. Sorry. Stat 80.2. Gloss, and it was 83.7 before, and then haze is 14.5. That's gone up as well, so it was 14.1. So effectively it hasn't improved haze, but that's the only one where the gloss has actually gone down. Now, could that be, where's that light? Could that be because the film of product, so we can see all that swirling that hasn't been improved, which is fine, but I'm looking at the reflection of the image of the light. That's what's been diminished. That does look clearer to my eyes, yeah. So maybe for whatever reason, that's just reduced gloss for some reason. Don't know. That's unusual. Let's write this on the board. So we have a clear winner in the visual performance test. We should call it visual performance because it's not just gloss, but let's call it appearance. Appearance. So Autoglym gets the 4 points there. What would come second? For me, it would have to be, without doubt, the Beadcoat, because that's increased gloss by 2 units, which is good. And haze has incremented, but not significantly. Whereas there's less gloss increment there and more haze increment there. So yeah, that's definitely the second place. 3. And it's good, any product that can increase gloss by a couple of units when we've already got a reasonably glossy panel is a good sign. Then next it'll be the Bilt Hamber, which is 2. And then next it would be the Turtle Wax, Seal and Shine, which would be 1. So things are starting to flip around, aren't they? Look, so the one that got the most has now got the least, the one that got the least has now got the most, and then we've got 2 in the middle somewhere. So we're all on 5. So this could be a difficult one. Let's, ease of application. I'm familiar with all of these products. They've all been applied. I've applied them to cars. I'm going to say, without a shadow of a doubt for me, the Collinite is the easiest to apply, the least problematic. I'm going to say after that, it would be the Turtle Wax because it's a water-based product. After that, I would give it to the Autoglym. And then after that, I'd give it to the Bilt Hamber because the Bilt Hamber does cure a bit harder. And there's been times where I've used it and you've got to buff off that wax, that hard wax. The Autoglym wax can be easier to buff, but you can get a slight, that white kind of powdery residue if you don't shake out your cloth every now and then. But I would say it's slightly easier to buff than the Bilt Hamber. So that's my ease of application. Both of these, you have a 10-minute cure. Both of these, spray on, spread, wipe. You just have to be, the Beadcoat is just less problematic in my opinion. This is not problematic, it's not difficult, but if you use too much of it, then your microfibers, your secondary cloth isn't completely fresh, you might find it slightly difficult to buff in comparison with some other ones, but that's my order. So what we're going to do now, guys, is wait 24 hours. We could test beading now and do durability later on. In fact, we will, because I don't think you want to get these hit with detergents, because you know, give them a full 24 hours before you hit them with detergents and stuff. But you can just test the hydrophobicity now, I think. So we've done that before. So if we take this tape off, And then what I'll do is tomorrow I'll start hitting them with detergents. I've got a feeling that all these products are going to be reasonably durable. And what we'll just do is in fact, I'll leave these little white lines. So you can see this is the thing with the wax, right where the tape is, the microfiber doesn't get low into it, but I'll just leave that as it is. I won't buff it again. So shall we take this outside? Let's do it. I'll put the camera, yeah, we're not interested in gloss anymore, so I can just put the camera here like I'm carrying it around like a pizza. And we'll take this outside. You've got to be careful. Nothing like live. Nothing like going live. Oh God, how do I get through here? With great difficulty. Oh, sugar. Oh, hold on. Right. So let's put this up here and we'll get the hosey. Sure that's parallel, yep. You can definitely see on camera, can't you? Dark, bit darker, less, you can't see the square where that Collinite product is. So you can see the square of the turtle wax. It's almost like the wax has that filling effect. Interesting. It's like depending on the state of your paintwork, might help you pick which product's going to be best. Like if you've got hazy, swirly paint, then possibly a wax-based product might be good. Right, this is going to be difficult because they're all going to be bead-tastic, I think, except for the Seal and Shine, which, yeah, the Seal and Shine's not that hydrophobic actually. Already aware of that. So the Beadcoat is, the Autoglym is, and the double speed is as well. So that's going to be, you won't buy the Seal and Shine if you're interested in a really hydrophobic product, in my opinion. It has some hydrophobicity, but you can flood it and it's a slower sheeting action, whereas the Beadcoat is like very fast and zingy. So's the Autoglym. Can I flood that more? How quickly does that shoot down the panel? It's hard to say, isn't it? Jesus. These products are about as beady as you're going to get. Just trying to see the difference. Not sure I can tell. I think the Beadcoat might edge it. I think the double speed though, if you look at the speed of that, that might be the most hydrophobic of all three. I don't know though, God, it's very little in it. Let's try and get them at a flat angle and see if we can see what we can see. Hold on a second, let's get this flatter. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, I think the Beadcoat is slightly more hydrophobic than the Autoglym, or maybe not. Can just, there's not much in it. Can just get that water standing on the Autoglym a bit easier than I can with the Beadcoat. It just doesn't want to settle on the Beadcoat, whereas I can get it to settle here. You see what I mean? Get it to settle on the Bilt Hamber as well. Let's try and build some beads and we'll see which ones can give us the best beads. bead building. Let's have a look at these. Oh, I need a bit more water, I think. Oh, no, maybe not. So you can just tell there, they're not all as round and they're not all as good. These are all round. There's the line there. And juicy, but there's such a little difference here. This is so difficult. I think that is the beadiest. And I would say followed by that, followed by that, followed by that. But there's virtually no difference. In fact, I think I'm going to give those both a 3 out of 3 because they're the same. That one gets the 4. So let's come back in here. I mean, they're about as beady as it gets. When it flicks the water off rapidly, then you know you're there. So, oh, I left the lid off on there. That wasn't too clever. So we're done here. I'm going to say the turtle wax clearly is the least hydrophobic. Let's stick with my green. That's going to bug me. Let's get the green. Come on. 1. And I'm going to say, I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm going to say these are both a tied second place, and that's first place. I just can't tell the difference, and I'm good at spotting the difference, but both of these seem to be very hydrophobic. That might just edge it. Next up, we're on durability. Let's just see where we are points-wise. So we're 9 points there. We are 5. We're 5, 9, 13 points there. So that's going to win, isn't it? We're 5, 10, or maybe not. 10 on the Autoglym. We're 5 and 4. So we're 9 on the Bilt Hamber. So we've got to move on to our durability, which will be interesting, won't it? So let's wait till tomorrow, and then I'll try and do it durability. I'm just thinking, I've tested all these before. I might break my own rule so I don't have to spend the next 2 weeks bugging around with this test panel. I might just do wash, rinse, wash, rinse, wash, rinse, wash, rinse, wash, rinse, wash, rinse with a wash mitt, pH neutral shampoo. Do it like 30 times. Dunk in the bucket, wash it, rinse it. Dunk in the bucket, wash it, rinse it. Keep going, because that simulates washing, and see if I can get some results tomorrow. So we'll be back. We'll be back. I'm breaking my own rules here. Okay, guys, this is after 10 wash passes. We're using Gion Bathe. It's a relatively mild shampoo. I'm just using a bit of pressure to make sure we clear all this, and I'm going to drop it down to a shower. You can still see the turtle wax has got that zinginess to it and spring to it. See, the turtle wax has got more spring and zing to it than the bead coat, which is interesting, isn't it? So it's looking like that's going to stand up longer. Both these waxes are easier to flood now with water than the spray sealants. If I just do this, this isn't scientific, but it's harder for me to flood the 2 spray sealants on the right than it is to flood these waxes. I can flood these. I'll eventually flood these spray sealants, or maybe I won't, look. But these I can flood, so they're degrading more, and you could probably say, perhaps, although it's hard to say, the water might just be pooling a little bit, but it does look a bit like the Autoglym has lost a bit more hydrophobicity than the double speed, which I'd probably expect. Just needs a little bit of a hand. There you go, and it'll break through. So far, after 10 washes, I would say the Seal and Shine is probably holding up the best. Then it's these 2, and then it's that one. So we're going to do another 10 washes now, and just the process will just be this, and then swipe left to right, so we're not, whatever gets swiped gets the same swipage, so we're not wiping more on any one bit. and then we'll leave that like 30 seconds if we're washing the car, rinse off again, repeat, do that another 10 times and come back. Okay guys, this is 20 passes. I think we're starting to get some meaningful data now. Just want to blast this stuff off. You can probably see the two in the middle are failing. Well, they're still there. They're slowing down the most. The turtle wax is a little strip of it that's failing, but overall that's definitely the zingiest. I mean, that's still got loads, it's still going, but I can flood it with water and it'll get to the point where it can't push it off as easy as the turtle wax. You can see that, can't you? Same with the Autoglym. I can flood it with water and it's just a bit slower to kind of break through. It eventually goes and then clears the water, but you can see they're both slowing down. But the Bilt Hamber has sort of still got a little bit more zip to it. So we're forming a kind of order, I think. If you just see this, it's not conclusive yet because they're all still working, but I think that's maybe degrading the most, closely followed by the Beadcoat. You see that? Then perhaps followed by the Bilt Hamber, then perhaps followed by the Seal and Shine, which seems to be holding up the best. So we'll just keep going now. Okay, we're at 30 passes now, guys. Your average kind of paste wax or protection product would probably be gone now. These are still going. The turtle wax is really doing well. The Collinite is still there. They're all still there. Let's just get all this surfactant off first of all. You can definitely see a pattern that the middle two are starting to go. But let's just drain this off on a second. Yeah. The water is starting to pool in the Autoglym. So if you just see, if I just do this, eventually it will build up. Need a little bit more water. Eventually it will build up in the Autoglym one. And it's just the slowest to get rid of it. So I still think the Autoglym is going to fail first, but it still hasn't failed. The Collinite's still going, but it's slowed down a lot. You just see that? Just easier to pool on there. That's still a bit more rapid. But that is still flicking, apart from that little channel down there. I don't know what's going on with that little channel. And this is faster. So I can get that covered and submerged. It's harder to do that with a Bilt Hamber. Could probably eventually do it. But you can kind of see the pattern there. Like I say, most products would have failed by now, so all four of these have good durability. But let's go, and we'll go up to 40 passes. Jesus, my feet are soaking already. Okay guys, we're at 40 washes now. It's getting ridiculous. I think I'm going to try and declare final results, or else I'm just going to be here forever. But for me, I'm going to say they're starting to go, actually. They're starting to go. It's really interesting, isn't it? Because now it looks like that's starting to go, and that's actually kind of breaking through a bit quicker than the wax, but very interesting. But we've definitely got a clear winner, and that's the Seal and Shine. That's definitely degraded the most. And I think, I don't know actually. I don't know, it's very difficult. It's still going, that's quick. That's quicker though, isn't it? Yeah. So I'm going to say, let's just try and flood it all out. I don't know actually. I don't know, because that's sort of like, that patch there is completely gone. I think, to me, I think the Beadcoat's held up better. I'm going to just declare this, and you can say if you think I've got this right or wrong. Last place, second last place, third last place, or second, and most durable. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go and add the score up. Okay guys, so we're back inside. We've added up all of the points, and the Bilt Hamber and the Autoglym have got 11 points. The Collinite's got 16. The Turtle Wax Seal and Shine has got 13. So the Beadcoat's picked up the most points. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Right now, from doing this test, I was really impressed with the Autoglym product, especially its gloss and its appearance data and how it really looked on the panel and how it is to use. But then in theory, it costs a fortune compared to the Bilt Hamber wax. So a summary of all these products, there's different reasons why you might want to pick them actually. It's all over the place, this is. If you're less worried about the difference in appearance or the ease of application, the Autoglym's slightly nicer to buff. The Bilt Hamber wax seems to last a little bit longer. It's just as beady and is a lot less money, okay? But this has a certain class to it with the application, and that appearance thing was really noticeable actually, really good appearance data on the Autoglym. So very kind of impressed with that. This is how I see it. If I had to go and buy one right now, I didn't have either, I might buy that one because it's a lot cheaper, but if I had both here, I might reach for that one because of how it buffs and how it looks. With regards to the spray sealants, funny enough, we haven't factored this in, but the Seal and Shine seem to have a slightly better darkening filling effect, but poor spectral data in terms of gloss improvement. There was a gloss reduction and haze reduction as well. So it didn't do well in the gloss test, and the Beadcoat did well in the gloss test, but it looked like to my eye, you couldn't see the filling effect. So it's quite simple actually, really. If you wanted the more durable product, it's less hydrophobic, but more durable and a lot more cost efficient, you would go with the Seal and Shine. There's no two ways about it, with the potential price difference in what you can get when you buy bulk with this, or even if you're just comparing normal price. I can't compare bulk because I can't get a bulk offering in the UK. So it's a no-brainer. You go with the Seal and the Shine for the money. But I think perhaps if you don't care about money and your paintwork's really good and polished, you want a stronger hydrophobic effect, a slightly easier product to, I think, apply than the Turtle Wax, perhaps. You would go with the Beadcoat. Yeah, so it's really like a game of two halves, actually. I almost think you've got here two really good, durable products that are very affordable, you know, very well priced, and good protective performance for not a lot of money. In fact, very, very, very good value. And here you've got two products which are expensive, but do have, I think, some of the things that you perhaps would want if you're paying a lot more money, perhaps. So yeah, it's all wrapped up in that kind of data here, which is, I find, really, really interesting. These are four products which I will keep as well. These are four products which I keep. They're typically what I use. Yeah, it'd be a very hard call. And you know what? The same thing I said about these two waxes. If I have both these spray sealants here, I personally will reach for that one. But when it comes to, I don't have them and I've got to go and buy them, I think I'd probably go and buy 5 litres of the Seal and Shine for 22 quid on Amazon, which is just a ridiculous bargain because the price per litre is just nothing. And it's a good product in its own right, I think that. So there we go, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I really have. And that's a good comparison, I think, of 4 products. The durability testing's a little bit Mickey Mouse, a little bit wishy-washy, isn't it? It could be better. I don't know. But it is what it is. It's a stab in the wind. They're all very durable in their own right. Yeah, there we go. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye, Doug.
Holding on to what I knew, but the moment's gone. Where was I?